One of the biggest shockers I had when I came to the Netherlands was to discover that sickle cell disease, SS, is not a big topic here. Some of my friends don't even know or remember their genotypes. Do you know your genotype or your blood group?
I used to, but I'm not 100% sure. Why? In high school, we did a test and then you knew your blood type. But
So there is the O positive, O negative, but then there is also the AA, AB, AS. Do you know that one?
Yeah, so I think AA, but I'm not 100% sure. I think so.
I think there is the A plus, O plus, but I'm actually talking about the AA, AS, AB, that one.
No, I don't know that one.
Why don't you know it? Is it because you didn't think it's important to know?
I think once in high school we did a test, so it should be A plus, but I'm not sure anymore because I haven't tested my blood anytime recently.
Did you check this about Jason, your husband?
No, but I assume he would tell me if there was something important.
Oh, actually, I don't. I should know this.
Why do you think you should know it?
Because when you ever, need emergency blood supply, you're still conscious, you should be able to tell the doctor or someone what your blood type is. But
do you ever think you need to know it in the context of the partner you should choose?
No, I don't think this should influence your partner choice.
So have you heard about sickle cell disease before?
Single cell disease? No, I have not.
Sickle cell is this blood type where, let's say for example, you have AS and then your partner has AS. One of your child might have SS, which is a sickle cell genotype, which can affect his life.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, you may have a higher risk of getting children that have an illness, but I've never heard anyone taking this as a criteria when dating someone or when deciding whether or not to marry.
I don't know what is genotype. I don't know what that is.
Genotype is the AA, AS, SS.
So how are you supposed to know everything?
Wait, is sickle cell not a thing in Uganda?
Oh, it is a thing. That's true.
So how don't you know?
Sickle cell's a big thing in Uganda, but not that big, you know?
Oh, okay. Maybe it's also bigger in Nigeria. I don't know. In Nigeria and probably many parts of Africa, sickle cell disease is a very big topic, with about 150,000 newborns affected yearly and 50 million people carrying the sickle cell trait. This sickle cell gene is reflected in your genotype, which makes it very important for you to know your genotype. For a genotype like AS, the A is the normal hemoglobin gene and S is the sickle cell gene. And then when you have SS, it means you have the sickle cell disease. Growing up in Nigeria, knowing your genotype is like knowing your surname. When I got into university, I did a blood test and I got to know my blood group and my genotype. And this is very important to know because even on your first date, the first question you're asking this potential partner is, what is your genotype? Even when I had the first date with my now girlfriend, well, I don't know if it was the first date or the second date I asked her this question, but I was like, what is your genotype? And she was like, sorry, what is a genotype? And then after explaining all that it was, she was like, oh, yeah, I don't really know or remember my genotype. It's like, what? The reason why this information is important is because it can also influence your choice of a partner. How I learned it in school is that you have genotypes like AA, AB, AS, and SS. When you have AS and you have somebody else who has AS, these genes can come together to determine what the genotype of your children might be. So 1 in 4 of your kids would either have AA, AS, or SS, which is a sickle cell. So this can influence the choice of your partner in the sense that somebody with AA might not really care because AA coming with AS, you have combinations where none of them lead to SS. AA with AA, well, nothing to worry about, but an AS has to be careful of their partner because if they end up with an AA, that's fine, but if they end up with somebody that is AS or even SS, then 1 in 4 of their kids can have that SS genotype. So this was big for me growing up, and I thought it was just kind of the norm in many countries in the world. So it was so shocking for me to realize coming here that this is really a big topic in Nigeria or probably even Africa, but in a place like the Netherlands is not that big a topic. I grew up with a few SS friends and life for these people was really difficult. They had a lot of pains, they got so weak easily, got sick easily. Many times they missed school, and that was just because of how this genotype works in their body. SS is a genetic condition that turns red blood cells into rigid and fragile crescent-shaped obstacles. These cells can clog blood vessels, causing severe pain and life-threatening complications. So because of that, there is a big responsibility on parents to be very careful who they choose as their partners. But when a child has SS, it's not the end of the world. There are several medical treatments to help them manage the situation, and there is even one solution called a bone marrow transplant which can cure this disease. The problem with this though is that it is expensive, and not just that, you also have to find the right person or somebody with the right blood type that matches your own type before carrying out such operation. Then I came into the Netherlands, and in my apartment sometimes we have these social events where they invite people to come teach us about stuff in Netherlands. So on this day we had people from the healthcare. They were here to teach us about how the Dutch healthcare works, and then after the whole session I asked, I would like to know my genotype. How can I go about that? And then what they tell me next, or ask me next, is what is a genotype? At first I was confused. How don't you know what the genotype is? But probably it was just the whole language barrier, so maybe it has a Dutch word but they didn't know the English word. So I explained it for them and they're like, oh yeah, genotype. So what were you saying? And I was like, yeah, I want to know what my genotype is. And then they asked me, why do you want to know? Then I felt, why wouldn't I want to know? Isn't that like an important information everybody should know about? So then I explained, well, when I got in university, I got to know my genotype. I did a blood test, but I'd just like to do another one just to be sure. And then they asked again, yeah, but why do you want to know your genotype? Are you up to 30 years old? And I felt, why do I have to be 30 years old to know my genotype? And then they also asked, do you have any genetic condition or disease in your family, in your generation? Do you feel like you have cancer? Do you feel like you have any particular traits in your body that makes you so curious to know your genotype? Then I felt, no, I don't have any of these, but knowing my genotype is important because, as I understand growing up, it also helps me to know if I'm compatible with my partner, or compatible in this context of what the genotype of my kids might be. And then that was when they helped me realize, well, this is not really a big thing here. We don't just do genotype or genetic checks for everybody. We mostly do these things when there is a medical situation at hand. And if you want to do something like this, you have to provide such legitimate reason before you can carry out a test like that. So then I asked them, isn't this an information that couples should even know before getting married or having kids? They said, like, yeah, when you're a couple, sometimes they can do this test, especially if maybe you have a particular condition, something that might affect your pregnancy. I'm not sure if I had them very correctly, but they also said something like they also have preventive measures of this, probably in the pregnancy planning with the couple. So this is not really a big thing that they worry about. Now, I might be misquoting them, but what I just got from the whole thing was that this wasn't really a big thing here for them to check. After the session, I got home to do some research, and that was when I realized sickle cell disease is a big thing in Nigeria, and that is why it's very common for people to be aware of their genotype, because by being aware, you can avoid having more children with sickle cell disease, unless you decide to take the risk or you have the money to cure it at the end of the day. But when you look at Netherlands, sickle cell disease is not very common, and so I can understand why it's not such a big thing for people to know their genotypes. The only time people would care to know about this is if there is a genetic condition in their family, and in that case it becomes important to know what your blood group, blood type, or information around your blood is. From my research, there are 40 to 60 or 70 people with sickle cell disease born per year in the Netherlands, and currently, as you see on this website, 2,000 people have this disease. But when you look at the place like Nigeria, over 150,000 people are born per year with this disease. Have you spoken with Dutch people about genotypes before?
No.
Well, the few people I've spoken with, some of them are first like, what is genotype? Blood type, is it that A plus or whatever? So even for them, it's not really something big that they
blood group that they are aware of.
Yeah. My girlfriend also called her GP to do this blood test, and again they asked, why do you want to know this? And her legitimate reason was that, yeah, my partner is Nigerian, and this is a big topic there, so it's also important in our coming together. And so she was able to do a blood test. I still can understand why you really need to have a legitimate reason, like the choice of a partner is not legitimate enough. I hope this video helped you understand sickle cell disease and understand how different as a topic it is in a place like Nigeria and in a place like Netherlands. If you enjoyed these videos, please give it a like, subscribe, and we'll keep sharing more of my experience and more of the things that I learn about Netherlands in this channel.